Give it 1 second. There might be a delay.
Oh, I see something live.
Yep, because I'm running 1080p.
Click it.
Yeah, you can go watch it if you want, but this is it's running live right now.
I see it. A little bit of delay.
Yeah, there's always a delay because of the. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Polo Reef. We got this is Rashid's story and Andrew Sandler, and we have Michelle Hope in the 17,000 gallon tank. So our goal for today. Hey, Shelly, what's going on? Shelly, I was about to get the word out on Facebook. If you want to help us do that, what's up, Shelly, Paul? We got our crew coming on in. I know this is a last minute live, but we have Michelle in there today to she's blowing out the rocks.
Is she blowing rocks out or no?
Yeah, she will.
Okay.
She's not. She's going to.
She's plunging the closed loop to get better flow.
Right.
Make sure no fogs or shells, turbo snails.
So yeah, so that's one of our action items today. Is we're reversing.
Flow control today.
We're doing flow control today, so we're reversing the closed loops pumps, so that we're reversing them, so they're instead of pushing out.
The outs are in,
Exactly.
stuff out.
Absolutely. So in addition to that, we're going to do our usual blowing out of the large SPS colonies, and we blow them out with RODI just to make sure, God forbid, if any pests are in there, we remove at least the large scale, flatworms, if there's any of those acro-eating flatworms. And then we always inspect. If something doesn't look too good, we'll take it out and inspect for eggs, whether it be nudibranchs or acro-eating flatworms. So in doing this is kind of a last minute decision for us to do this. But if you guys like this live stream, this is something we can continue. We can ask, you guys can ask any questions and we could address them. So I hope you guys enjoy. We will have a scenario where we will announce this so people know about it, and it's not midday, but we're just testing out the the software. We're using StreamYard today and make sure we don't have any technical difficulties. So when we do announce this, everything's running smooth. So Paul, Shelly, how's the audio on my end? Can you guys hear me okay? What I can do is I can do this. The only issue. Yep. Yeah. So Hal, this is in line with kind of what you suggested regarding the chats. The only difference is we can do the chats through YouTube live stream, address questions, and people can look at the tank live as we address those questions. And of course, what we want to do is make sure that we have a set time that we do this. Unfortunately, Michelle and Jonathan are gonna be here in the evening, so they're usually here midday on Tuesdays. So we figured, hey, why not try this idea out? The tank is a little bit blurry. Hey, what's going on, Paul? The tank is a bit blurry because we, as I mentioned earlier, swapped out the closed loop circulation, so it's in versus out or out versus in. So excuse that, but of course, we would do this when the tank is clear and the glass is clean, etc. Hey, Reefing Gringo, how are you? So that's a good question. We try to dive at least twice a week. We have scheduled dives on Tuesdays, and it's usually Michelle or myself, but Dunn is training to start diving. So we have 3 divers, and we can dive any day of the week if we see a coral that's flipped over or what have you. But I mean, we get at least 2 dives a week. There's a lot more than that when we're adding corals, but we try to stay out of the tank unless we really need to go in. I hope that answers your question, Reefing Gringo. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know.
Tell them the tank's a little cloudy today because we're
Yeah,
going out hikes.
I just mentioned that to him. I just explained that this is an experiment, and we're testing out all the software, making sure everything is working the way that we want, so that when we do go live and set a date for this, Drew, we know everything is working nicely. One thing I'll say to everyone, we have 14 people watching now. We have Shelly, Hal, a few other people. So just so you can look at it, Drew, so you see how the software works.
Yep.
This is our main. I like this being our main because I really want people to see a shot of the tank.
Yeah.
This is the messages.
Yep.
And Hal likes this because it's kind of in line with what he said, except I feel like this is a little more interactive. Yeah. We're getting,
especially if there's something going on in the tank.
Exactly. And that's why we did this, guys, is because literally Michelle's in the tank, as you guys could see here. So we said, hey, why don't we take advantage of this? And you guys get to see this in real time. So as you guys can see here, Michelle on the right, that hose is connected to a 50-gallon bucket?
Yes.
It's connected to about 50-gallon RODI bucket. Some people think we're crazy. Why are you putting 50 gallons of RO in the water? But it's a drop in a bucket when it comes to 17,000 gallons. So that's not an issue. But she'll go through almost all the corals and make sure that, as you can see, she's getting right under that Monty. And with that RODI, it pretty much dislodges any pests that we might have.
They don't like that fresh water.
They don't like the fresh water. So this is a good way to, for anyone with a large system that doesn't want to treat it, that might have flatworms, that doesn't want to treat it with a prozzy or a chemical. And this is a method that we did learn from Joe Iulo from, he's the one who introduced it actually some time ago because he has a large tank. As you know, folks with large tanks, we all speak among each other and think about different ways we can continue to maintain this amazing tank. But that's one of the things he did to fight flatworms. I wouldn't say we have a huge flatworm infestation, but I do think we have a flatworm issue, something that we are going to address over time. So going back,
an issue than it was a month ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We do think it's less of an issue than a month ago because what we've done is we've taken out large pieces and found some eggs on them. And you really need to be proactive when you have a pest issue, whether it be in a system this large or even, a smaller 30 or 40 gallon system. You need to be proactive in making sure you inspect your corals, take your corals that are not attached to a rock out and visually inspect them and make sure that, you're addressing the issue and being proactive instead of reactive. All right, so let me go through some questions. So we addressed reefing Gringo. So now let's go to Monster Yoon. So do you guys dose carbon? Okay, so we don't. I mean, let me let me address that differently. We don't dose carbon, so we don't feed the bacteria in that way, but we do have sulfur reactor, and I do have Jonathan here that could probably speak to that a little more. Jonathan, you have a second? Just explain to him why we're using a sulfur reactor.
The sulfur reactor creates an anoxic. The sulfur reactor creates an anoxic zone where we can grow bacteria that's going to consume the nitrate, and while it does that, it does produce a low pH in the sixes. So as it comes out of that, we run it through aragonite to bring the pH back up and rebuffer it, just like you would out of a calcium reactor. And that anoxic layer in that sulfur media will reduce the nitrates, where it's coming in at one point at 25-ish and leaving at 0.
And now
we're actually dosing nitrate because it's doing such a efficient job that we've had to balance it out, or along with playing with the flow rates of it to try to have some nitrate coming out of it.
Tell me we're experimenting with flow rates.
We're experimenting with flow rates from 2 gallons a minute, 3 gallons a minute, and we're probably going to venture up into 5 or 6 gallons a minute to see if we can get some nitrate coming out of the sulfur reactor, so that we're not completely stripping the tank to 0.
But one thing we can mention, Jonathan, is like, if we were looking at this big picture from a year ago, where it's only fish and now it's corals, we do feel like the corals are sucking up some of those nitrates.
Oh yeah, definitely. As they're growing, they're utilizing it for their growth process.
Right. So I think
this is the longest machine that we've seen the phosphate stay low.
Yeah.
Without changing the GFO, which means something's sucking that up.
Right. So that goes to the point that Jonathan was making. Yeah. That goes back to the point that the sulfur reactor is helping. Okay. But I think also the corals are sucking up as they thrive and do well in this tank and establish themselves and acclimate to it. They're also sucking up some of those nutrients. So we're getting the double effect in terms of help there. And by the way, that was Jonathan from Country Critters. That's his fiance, Michelle, there. Just as a quick plug, they have Country Critters out in Long Island, New York. Jonathan's been around for a little over 2 decades with Andrew, and he's helped him put together this amazing tank, along with putting together what was the other tank that you guys got tank of the month for? How many gallons?
That was the tank was about 1,000, about 1,200 in the system.
Okay, about 1,000 gallons. Yeah, so yeah, they also put together a 1,000-gallon tank in 2013, 14, I think it was. I got tank of the month in Reef Central some time ago, so he's worked with Andrew for some time. Okay, so that was Monster Yoon. Sorry for the long-winded explanation. So Real Wiser says, how do you keep some of the beneficial feeders from nipping at your corals?
Yeah, we got the issue right now. Can you show them, Rashid?
Yeah.
By the angle, like the levers that we added that don't look like they're gonna work. Can you change that?
Yeah, I can change. I could just readjust the camera. Just give me 1 second, guys. So what Andrew's talking about is right. Oh, whoops. There it is. All right. So what Andrew's talking about, I'm not sure if you guys could see. Just bear with me for a second. There you go. If you look to the bottom right corner, you're going to see some leathers. The green Sandler leathers. We added those, I think, last Sunday. And there's certain corals that, the butterflies are just going to go after.
And this is not even an after. They just taste it, and it just keeps it close. It's just an annoyance thing that makes them not look good.
But look, for example,
Here they are again. Here they are.
Look at the Gorgonian. Yeah, look at the butterfly pick at the Gorgonian. So the Gorgonian, once they stop picking at it, it comes out. You'll see the tentacles come out. So what we're trying to do is just beat it out with. We're trying to beat it out with by just waiting it out and see if those things last. Okay, because it looks amazing over there, and we're trying not to overthink it, essentially. So 1 second. Okay, so we'll continue this for another 15 minutes or so, guys. So going down the line. Um, so Mike Andrews, you're looking for. Let me readjust the camera back. So Mike Andrews was wondering where the Picasso sailfin is. I know we have a little bit of a delay here, but he's definitely there. I just saw him swim like right there in the middle. By the way, that fish is excuse me, guys. That fish is it's pretty amazing actually. It's huge when you're right by the tank and looking at it, especially if you're diving in. You don't realize how large that fish is. Um, yeah, it's definitely a special one. So he's okay, Mike. Okay, let's go down the line. Sean Locks, thank you for joining and thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Once again, guys, if you don't mind liking this, sharing it, we will definitely make this more consistent and lock in a date and time for you guys so everyone's enjoying it. Maybe a little later in the day when people can join. I know I did a live stream early in the morning the other day, but we're looking to do that pretty soon. So Hal had a question. How long is a typical dive for Michelle? Does the salt reef water limit her in some ways? So to speak for myself, Hal, and I'm sure it's going to be the same answer for Michelle, our dives usually range between an hour to 2 hours. At some point, based on just our body temperature, females was probably a little less than guys, but being around 98, 97 or 98 or whatever that is, and diving in water that's 77, you do get cold and start to shiver and shake a bit after 2 hours. So we try to limit those dives. We just use a hose with O2. So that's usually about the timeline. We try to keep it within 2 hours, and obviously make sure we have enough oxygen in the tank. We have a couple of those tanks.
Still alive?
Yes.
She's actually adding in the coral.
I mean, we're getting
to the one that was taken out.
Yep, Hal, you definitely do hear Phoebe. Phoebe's
Does not like diving.
She does not like anyone diving, and she's riled up. And the reason why is because
the air.
There's the air. The air makes a sound that just drives her nuts. So we try to limit that when we can.
She also knows that humans don't breathe underwater.
Exactly. So to the follow-up question with Real Wiser is regarding the coral nipping. Does it change due to feeding multiple times a day or anything without you feed keep coral nipping lower, or will it always just happen due to their natural instinct? So to answer your question based on what we've seen, okay, the coral nipping will never go away with certain species. The butterflies will always nip no matter what the coral is, but they are definitely way more interested in anemones, LPS, leathers, toadstools, and things of that sort. They'll still nip SPS, but there's less of a time that they're nipping them. Do we think that we feed about 5 times a day, both frozen and seaweed? As some of you know, it's about 5 pounds of food. It's about like 3/4 of a pound to a pound of food every time we feed. That absolutely reduces the amount of nipping that they do because they know they're going to get that food. So I think nipping becomes more of a curiosity than trying to eat it because it needs food, because it knows it's going to get steak and potatoes at the end of the day, right? In my experience from my systems and my 300-gallon tank, feeding well is also great, just to reduce aggression if you have a tank with a lot of tangs and things of that sort. So that will never that will always help. I hope I answered your question there, real wiser.
You getting questions, Rashid?
A bunch of them, yeah. We're addressing a bunch of them, waiting for more. But this you got to remember. This is like,
Yeah.
this is just I what I really like. Yeah, real wiser, not a problem, man. Anytime, like I said, we'll get you guys more of these um, scheduled live, so you guys know where to come. There's a very good chance it'll probably be Tuesday around 6 to 6:30 p.m. In front of the tank with Andrew. So we'll make that happen for you guys. All right, guys. It looks like we don't have any more questions. We're happy to bring you this live with Michelle in there. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to join our Facebook group called Polo Reef by Andrew Sandler. Follow us on Instagram, Polo_Reef, or just make sure you're subscribed here with the alert bell checked off, so you guys know when we do our next one. All right, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys soon.